Nobody in here yet. There's a lot of life in here. Let's see. Somebody join us. I'm a tired puppy now. I have been fencing today. It reminded me why I don't build fences for a living anymore. I'm tired. Wore out. Whew. 3 folks in the house. Hope everybody's been having a good day. It was warm most of the day. This morning, John and Jewel were in. Cold this morning, and it warmed up, and then the wind got to blowing, which is usually par for the course. We have wind start blowing, and then it gets cold. You're warm because you've been working. Then the wind starts blowing, and you get chilled. So let a few more people get in here. Oh, Paul and Adrian, you guys are going live here in a little bit, ain't you? Maybe 30 minutes or so. Oh, maybe. I think I seen a notification of that. Glad you guys stopped by. I'm sore. Not only did I drive posts, I had to pull a post that I drove. So it was a chore. It was a chore. I ran 5 strands about 60 feet, and the end posts were already there. I'm wore out, so I don't want to take it. I'm taking Bill Fence for a living anymore, let me tell you. 5 folks in tonight. Make sure you drop a line, hit the thumbs up button. Yeah. Too much hard work for me anymore. I'm moving slow. And once I got on my feet and was doing the top strands, I put in 5 strands. Those top 2 were pretty good, but those ones on the ground where I had to get down on my knees, boy, it ain't no fun no more. We're going to be talking about homestead safety and security now. I know for a lot of folks, like where we are, where our homestead is going to be, there is no EMS, there is no 911. If there's 911, you got to be it. So being prepared, preparedness, having a mindset of preparedness, having a mindset of safety and security is the first step. This week, just for instance, this week at our main office in Albuquerque, 2 managers were in the office, 7 o'clock at night. They didn't have the front door locked. They're both in a back office, which it might have been 30, 45 feet to the door. And they're in the office is in a industrial type area. Not a lot of houses, not a lot of foot traffic. I mean, this is not some place where somebody's going to be walking to. And they're in the back office, and they hear the door. So one of them gets up. Hey, Nicole, good to have you here tonight. So one of them gets up and looks out, and he takes and, hey, Josh, he takes and says, hey, somebody's in your office. So he steps back around the corner and tells the other manager, hey, somebody's in your office. And he says, well, ask him what he wants. So he steps back around to ask him what he wants. And the guy's taking off with the other guy's backpack and keys. Keys to the building, the keys to the car, the keys to his house. His backpack with his laptop in it. I mean, his whole life is in that bag. And if the guy who had gotten up to look had a safety and security mindset, bells and whistles would have already been going. It's 7 o'clock at night, and this person just walked in off the street. It would have already been going off. Especially for me, I've been in security. I would have been, hey, what do you want? What are you looking for? I'd have been right there on it. But this guy was just like, oh, no big deal. So the mindset of people today, a lot of people are living in that type of nonchalant, naive mindset. And it's not that we live in fear, it's just being prepared. It goes back to the old Woodrow Call saying, better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I would rather be prepared for something and not ever need it than to need it and not ever have it. That's for sure. Yeah, doing security, and for those of us who've done security, we tend, if you've ever done security, if you've ever worked in corrections or been a police officer, done any type of patrol, you're already geared that way. But there's a bunch of people out there who just hope for the best. And when something comes along, they go, I just don't know why this happened. Well, if you're prepared, then for one, it doesn't take you by surprise, and you have an action plan in place already, so you can deal with the issues. You can take care of yourself. So the very first thing um, is um, just talking about just overall health. Taking care of yourself. If you're way out there on the desert, or you're way off grid, away from society, so to speak, going to be a majority of your time out there. It doesn't take long, I can tell you, from just working out in the cold and working out into the weather. It doesn't take long to get down. You can wear your body out pretty quick, and having just a good overall practice of staying warm. Particularly we're in the winter now, so I'll start with that. Eating healthy during the winter. You got to eat healthy. You've got to take and eat, stick to your ribs, good food, um, and taking frequent breaks during the winter to warm up. If it's extremely cold outside, a lot of things we feel like we've got to get it done. We've got to do it. We've got to take and get this done. And there's some situations that are like that. I mean, if you have a sick animal, or if you have, you know, some wildlife that, some game that you took and you've harvested, and you need to get it cut up, and you need to take and get it processed and some of those things. But remember to take breaks and warm up, go in, drink something hot, a thermos. Can you hand me that thermos over there? Carrying a thermos with you. And the key, because when you're talking about overall health, keeping your core body temperature up, hypothermia can set in as low as like, I think it's like 50 degrees. You can start having hypothermia. It's where your core body temperature drops below 99 degrees. So when you start getting down below 99 degrees, your core body temperature, you go into hypothermia and you start shivering. Um, Carrying a thermos. My daughter got this for me. I've been wanting one for a while, and she got this for me for Christmas. And this thing is awesome. I have had hot coffee all day long in this, and it works really good. These are not all that expensive, and just keeping this on your tractor, your quad, and your truck, whatever you got, your wheelbarrow, whatever it is, and just stopping, getting you a hot cup of coffee, get it in you, and keep that core temperature up. That's going to take and it's going to head off a lot of sickness and a lot of problems right off the bat. Um, Layering. I remember back right after um, Alaska Last Frontier come out, there were people that were wanting to flock to Alaska. They're sitting there in in the comfort of their home, and they're watching these people homestead in Alaska. They're wanting to flock to Alaska to, well, we're going to go up there. We're going to buy some property. We're going to homestead. Well, it's not that easy. number one, just a checklist of what you're going to need for that type of environment is unreal. Dave's backyard now. Hey, Dave's backyard. Good to have you here tonight. Just a checklist. You're talking about boots. You're talking about over boots. You're talking about insulated underwear. You're talking about flannel lined pants. You're talking about you're going to have sweaters and jackets and vests and coveralls and earmuffs and all this stuff. That's just to go out. That's just to go out the door. So when you start, I'm just going to go taking, I'm going to move to, now I ain't moving to Alaska. Number one, you're going to have some deep pockets just to get prepared to go. So it's even here during the wintertime, we layer. I wear most time I wear a long sleeve shirt, some type of t-shirt, long sleeve shirt. Then I'll wear a pullover. I really like my hoodie pullovers. They really keep the heat in. Any type of hat during the winter will keep your heat in, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep that core body temperature up above 99 degrees or somewhere right in there. I haven't took outdoor survival in a lot of years. It was in high school when I took outdoor survival. The main key is to keep your body core temperature up. So hoodies do that. They keep that heat pressed down. And then I'll wear a vest, and then on top of the vest I'll wear my coat, and I usually wear a beanie. Beanies are really good, and some good gloves if you're out there. I know when I was younger, gloves drove me nuts, but now that I'm older and I've got arthritis in my hands, no, gloves are awesome. Keeping those hands warm, keeping them mobile. So, back to talking about food. It seems like we always talk about food, but in the wintertime, we like to crock pot a lot. We'll put on soups. So that way, if we come in and we're cold, we have something ready for us: beans, soups, hearty stuff that's got a lot of garlic and peppers and onions in it to fight off some of that stuff. But Dave's Backyards and Chicken, we are working on getting our bug out bags more prepared, replace the older merchant meals with new ones. Yeah, we don't call them really bug out bags. We call them getaway bags. We carry stuff in there, and we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. We carry a few essentials in there that if we had to, wherever we were at. Hey, Karen, good to have you tonight. If you had to, you would survive for 2 or 3 days with what's in that bag, and it's easy enough to carry. The biggest thing, and there's a lot of different stuff out there, like people talk about hot fire cider, which I have not done yet. Been pretty busy. There's so many things I want to get to, I just don't have time to get to them. But that kind of stuff. Avoid empty calories during the winter. Empty calories. I know people love cold cereal, and the milk's good in it. Fat content during the winter is key. Don't forget the blood stuff. Yeah, I've got that on my list. Keeping away from those empty calories, donuts, cookies and cakes and those things. I'm real bad about that. I love donuts. I'll eat a donut. But if you're going to be out working out in the open, like cutting firewood, taking care of chores, doing those types of things, it doesn't take long, guys, to get your body core temperature down and go into hypothermia. It doesn't take long at all. So stay away from those empty calories. Eat good hot meals like oatmeal, rice and raisins. Get some good protein in you. Lots of vitamin C during the winter. That right there alone will keep you out of a lot of trouble. Because when you get to feeling bad, Dave says, with me, I got acid reflux, so I pack antacids. Those are really good. Antacids are really good to have on hand. I know the older I get, the more heartburn I have. I've got them everywhere. We got them in the car. Polly's got them in her purse. I've got them at work. But just eating those good hearty meals, they're going to take you. Um, they're really going to take you and keep you more alert. It's going to keep you healthier. When I get to feeling bad, I make more mistakes. When I get tired because I didn't eat right, I make more mistakes. I love the donut. I don't know how many times I have to stay away from them because I'll eat a dozen if I don't want to. And then just keeping up with the weather. Knowing how cold it is outside, having a thermometer outside, knowing what the wind chill is. We've got an app on our phone where we can pull up my screensaver. But you can hit that, and it's an app on our phone, and it automatically pulls up the wind speed, everything in our area, or as close to us as there is a station. Um, so that's a real good thing to check. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, when it's 14 degrees outside, uh, I'm not. Number one, I ain't going out that early. I'm going to wait till it warms up. But then that lets me know what kind of day I need to dress for. And then just watching it through the day. Water purifying straws and such. Water purifying straws are really good. Walmart even carries them now for your to-go bag. So then we're going to transition to the summer. During the summer, the number one thing is hydrate, 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 hydrate. Drink lots of water. Drink lots of water before you go out. Drink lots of water while you're out. And there again, wearing the proper clothing, having lighter clothing, canvas top pants instead of big thick heavy blue jeans, cotton long sleeve shirt, a big straw hat. I've got one that's like this big around, and I kid you not, it's 5-10 degrees cooler under that hat than it is what it is outside. This reflects the sun off of you. I've got a whole list here of stuff I've wrote down all day. But clothes that can breathe and you can sweat. One of the things about wearing long sleeves. See, Karen says, out on the oil field, you should try some pine needle tea. It's made from pine needles of the pine tree. It's pretty good. Mick Jabalinjo. Did you say you're no? I'm not transitioning right now. Right now, I'm talking about summer. I was talking about winter. Big Scott Knight's in the house. Good to have you. Talking about how to dress during the summer. We're talking about homestead safety and security, and just the first key thing that we're talking about is just overall health. And there's a lot of folks, particularly, you look funny with a 2-1. What? Not sure about that. 2 what? Not sure about that either. We were talking about winter. Now we're talking about summer. Just overall health, keeping your body healthy, keeping yourself from being sick and run down. I know I have blood sugar issues, and if I don't eat, I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is. I don't know. Threw me for a loop. So lightweight clothing, and one of the things that we used to do when we were building fences back in Tennessee is I have no clue who this is or what. I am sorry. I am going to thank you in the yard. Appreciate it. Whoever put her out, yeah, in the yard. Thank you, Josh. Put her in timeout. So just taking and keeping yourself healthy and eating different during the summer versus the winter. Yeah, yeah, Dave. Takes all kinds, people. Takes all kinds. We eat different during the summer. We don't eat heavy meals during the summer, and that's going to take you. It's going to keep you more active. Like I said, if you don't eat right and you get feeling bad, you start making mistakes, you can get injured. And if you're 30, 40 miles from the nearest hospital or the nearest EMS, it could have all been avoided by just taking a little extra time, planning your meals, eating right, taking more frequent breaks. One of the things we used to do was we would work early and then we'd take 3 or 4 hours off and then we would work late because it doesn't get dark till like 10 o'clock in the summer. So we would take it. I just blocked him. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate that, brother. Um, we would take him and work till like 9, 10 o'clock at night. So what was you saying of no 2 pounds? Yeah, you can't eat them big old steaks during the summer unless you're going to go take them out. Just try to avoid getting hurt, and because it's serious when you're out there. I mean, you make a slip and fall and break your leg, and you're way out there cutting wood somewhere, or you're way out there doing something. Um, you don't have any help. You are it. You're 911. Um, Thought about getting a sticker and say I am 911. Put it on the back of my car. So preparedness. Preparedness is part of safety. Being prepared. I know a lot of you guys on here. You guys are prepared. It don't matter. A lot of you guys are probably more prepared than I would say 90% of the country. Um, and when you live, and I tell people this because they don't believe it. So when you grow up on a farm, you grow up on a ranch. I talk to people about how they say, can you work on it? Well, yeah, I can work on that. Or they have a plumbing problem. I say, I can fix that. I can put brakes on a car. Yeah, I can do that. Oh, there's electricity. Um, these are the type of streams I like. Well, thanks, Dave. We appreciate it. I try to bring topics that'll keep people engaged and keep people thinking. And you guys are more than welcome to jump in and put your 2 cents in. Dave's been doing a good job adding in there. Yeah, in the summer it wants more cold water thing. And another thing is your salt intake. Um, some people have a problem with high blood pressure, but when you sweat, you get rid of a lot of salt. So replacing that salt is key. Each individual is different, but we eat melon during the summer with salt. That'll be our lunch. Watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, and that'll be our lunch because it's watery, it's refreshing, and it's light, and we don't get bogged down and get that sleepy after lunch feeling where we tend to make mistakes. So avoiding injuries off grid, slowing down, and I was the world's worst, and Jonathan can attest to this. He's still on here. Slowing down and thinking through things and planning through things is salt tablets. Yeah, we just carry a salt shaker, and I love tomatoes with salt shakers in there. John. What Dave say? Just ordered some more ferro rods. I've been doing the fire starting videos lately. Ferro rods are good. Lighters are better. Ferro rods are for when things are stuff really hits the fan. But there's a lighter. There's 2 or 3 lighters in our car. I've got a lighter in my pocket. Polly's got lighters. The kids got lighters. We got lighters everywhere. And we got to buy some more. I use them during the winter to take and heat up padlocks so the key will go in there and they'll open. It works really good. But we keep them, and then of course in my to-go bag I've got a hunting knife with a ferro rod in there just in case, and I've got some little stuff in there to make a fire with. Little fire starter kit. But just planning through things. Johnson, for very little planning went into a lot of things we used to do. Well, and we did it 100 miles an hour too. we would just jump into stuff and get hurt, and we just do it. Some of the stuff we did, people should not have tried. We cut a limb off of a tree one time and tied a UTV to it, and I was standing on the limb that I cut with a chainsaw. Okay, it's a wonder we're still alive. Just having the proper safety equipment anymore. You know, I've got shatterproof glasses, but anymore, the older I get, it seems like the more cautious I am. I'm not. I just, hey, Melanie, you guys in the house? Simple Life Reclaimed. Glad to have you here tonight. I've been busy today and I haven't had a chance to watch. OSHA was not involved. I threw the chainsaw one way and grabbed onto the tree the other way. The older I get, the more I slow down and I think about things. I'm having a blast. I don't know about anybody else thinking about some of the crazy stuff we used to do. But I like to slow down now and think things through and just not get in a hurry because when I get hurt now, I don't bounce back. I mean, when I fell and I hurt my knee, chaps for cutting wood. Yeah, that was one of the things on my list is chainsaw chaps. Particularly if you're way out there and you might be alone, or you're out there with a small child or something like that. You don't want to go cutting into your leg. One time my oldest brother, he worse than I ever was. Well, not my oldest brother, but he's between my sister Jewel and my oldest brother Rick. He was cutting trees, and he told Dad, "Yeah, I got it." And he cut through the tree and right into his leg, right above his kneecap. He's still got the scar there today. And Dad was leaving the woods and happened to hear the chainsaw shut off. And Jewel, if I get this story wrong, jump in because I don't want to tell no lies. But Dad heard the saw shut off, and I heard these stories for years and years and years. Gail's Garden and Herbs and More. Good to have you here. He cut his leg. Dad run back, and he didn't have anything to stop the bleeding, so he just took the chainsaw gas that was there and dumped it on his leg, and then wrapped it up and took him home. And I think Dad used potato poultices on it, wrapped it in potato poultices, and kept it from getting infected. So that kind of stuff can happen. It can happen quick, particularly when you're cutting wood. Trees have a lot of bent up energy in them, and you don't ever know what's going to happen. I've had trees come back on me. I've had trees fall and shoot towards me. I've had all kinds of stuff happen. Limbs fall out. So them chainsaw chaps are really good. And the best thing is, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. Get somebody out there. Take and get somebody out there who can help you and be there with you in case something does go wrong. We had on the last property we had like 7 or 8 huge. Jewel says yes, he did use potato poultices and stuff. We had these big old huge poplars and oaks that were just dead standing, and some of them, I'm not lying, Polly can attest to it. Some of them were 50-foot tall, and we had barns and neighbors and stuff, and me and her and the kids, we cut them down and fell them. It wasn't fun. It was scary sometimes, but we got it done. But we were really close to help if we needed it. But if you're out there in the woods by yourself, if it looks sketchy, I'll just tell you, they used to tell me that when I was a kid, and I'd be like, I'll be all right. Now that I'm older, I go, well, maybe I should not do this. And that'll just keep you out of getting killed. Having just some good working gloves, some good steel-toed boots, just some good leather boots. Thanks, Mel. Appreciate that. And just having the proper clothing on to do the job you're doing. I've in the past I've been out there working when something came up real quick, and you be out there in your shorts and tennis shoes on, and I don't wear shorts that much, but I have been out there, cows out or something. You get out there with Bob Wire and you get cut and stuff. It's just a whole lot easier if you just slow down, think about it, and use the proper tools and the proper clothing for what you're doing. Um, the next thing too, if you're going out and about a lot, is knowing the cell service. No problem, Josh. Appreciate you being here, brother. I know Paul and Adrian are having their live chat here. I think they done started, so I don't know how long they go. Sometimes they go for 2 or 3 hours. So when I get done here, we'll probably hop over too. Knowing where your cell service is at when you're out there running around. I know some people who go like up in the mountains or off their property to go cutting wood and stuff. Mel says she's got to run and mingle, but I'm going to leave this live chat open so we can get it. All right, brother. Mel, sister, appreciate it. Thank y'all for stopping in. Knowing where your cell service is, and if you don't have cell service, and a lot of people don't talk about shortwave radios anymore and CB radios in your truck. If you're going to live off grid, I think having a shortwave radio of some type is a good idea in your pickup. Bill says, always safe to know how to do something before you try to do it. Yeah, I lived and learned. I got a lot of hard knocks because I did stuff I didn't know how to do. You live and learn, but when you get older, you don't bounce back like you used to. Just having a radio, knowing the call signs of the ranger station, knowing what emergency channels people work. Dave says he's got 6 or 7 radios. And even them little cheap handhelds have an emergency frequency on there. And some of them you can get with weather alerts, because out here, you may be on the desert and you may go hunt, and you may be, 4,000 or 5,000 feet higher than you were where you started out at, and storms can come up really quick. In California, they have outlawed shortwave repeaters. Wow. More control. So knowing the ranger stations, getting to know those types of people. If you're out there hunting, you're out there cutting wood on BLM or National Forest, stuff like that. Know what's around you. Know where those ranger stations are at, and just do some research. Will keep you safe. And even right there where you're at your house, if you're working, know your GPS coordinates in case you got to call somebody in. Like you got to bring a chopper or something in to come move somebody. God forbid that ever happen, but if you know your GPS coordinates, you can tell it to them and they can find you really quick. That's one of the best things you can know this day and age. Particularly if you're off grid, like where we're at, we don't really have an address yet. Knowing our GPS coordinates, I've got it right there on my phone in my files. I can look it up. Boom, I got it right there. Oh my Lord. So Dave was talking about his bug out bags. I wanted to talk a little bit about, being prepared in your car. What do some of you guys carry in your car? Joel says they have 2 handheld radios. They're really good for communicating on a homestead too. If you got 2 of them, somebody's in the house and you're out on the homestead, if there's an emergency or something like that, you guys can take and coordinate. That's really good. If you're fishing or hunting, they're really good to know your coordinates. And some of them come with a GPS locator on them. So it just depends on how much money you want to spend on them. So what are some of you guys carry in your car? Probably the biggest thing we carry out here is water. We try to have water all the time, particularly when we're going way out on the desert, or we're going to be gone for a while out on the desert. We keep water. Water is key. having water, not just potable water for you to drink, but water for your vehicle. You never know when a car's going to overheat or something might happen. Um, Gail says a little emergency bag with medical, water, and food bars. Protein bars are good. Um, Lazy Pond, good to have you here tonight. Leslie, we carry a first aid kit and a gun. Yeah. Um, having some way to protect yourself is very key, particularly the way the world's getting. We're going to address that later tonight. Um, Nicole says toilet paper. Amen. We have a toilet bag. We have a bag that has wet wipes and toilet paper and paper towels and Germex. We've got it all in there. And that little black bag goes everywhere with it. It's in the car everywhere we go. Paper towels is something I carry. My dad used to carry them in the car, and when I started driving, I just carried paper towels. Paper towels are good for bandages. Karen says I have a shovel, sleeping bag, water, food, and something to start a fire with. How about jumper cables? We keep jumper cables in both vehicles. I keep a hatchet in case I got to chop some wood. Um, Extra lighters. When I leave the house, my getaway bag's in my car. Cold grass, pine cone work for you. Oh, the toolbox. Just a small bunch of tools. I've told people before, with I've got a multi tool in my getaway bag, and I've changed batteries with that thing. I've done a lot of work with that multi tool. I've took and had to change an alternator with it one time, change batteries with it one time. So if it's all you got, it'll take and work. So just having a few hand tools, a pair of vice grips in your car is I don't know, screwdriver, adjustable, and a hammer. Yeah. I don't know. Somebody should write a book on the 101 uses for a pair of vice grips. I have used vice grips to do a lot of things. Clamp stuff down, hold stuff on. I bought a car one time and the brake caliper was clamped on with a pair of vice grips. It was. I seen somebody who pulled their throttle cable down to their foot pedal and clamped it because the little plastic thing on the bottom broke. So a pair of vice grips is really good to have. It comes in really handy. Baling wire, hammer for knocking a starter. Been there and done it. Yeah, they fine. No way. Yeah. Don't forget duct tape. Yeah. In my getaway bag, I've got 3 different types of tape. I've got black tape, I've got medical tape, and I've got duct tape. You got to have that. Extra fender pad. Yeah. Hey, when we ride, when we go out into the back country, um, zip ties. Yeah. Hey, you can do a lot with zip ties. That's in our emergency kit. That's one of the things that we use is a pad because if a horse gets hurt, you can throw it on there, wrap it up with duct tape, and you've got a huge bandage. Gail's Garden. Got to get you. Everybody ought to carry a bag. I mean, used to, and for the majority of the country that lives out of town or out of Portage, I have got parachute cord in my bag. Um, Parachute pants, no parachute cord. I like to keep a pullover in there. I keep extra gloves in my getaway bag. I keep an extra beanie just in case those things get cold, get wet, and you know you want to have those things if it's cold. What's toilet paper now, Karen? I have an uncle that went off road and got his car wedged into a small tree one night. Did you know you can cut a tree down with an east wing? That's a book we are to write. 101 uses for an East Wing hammer. We've used them for everything. East Wing hammers, it's it's a real powerful tool. It can be used as a self protection device. Um, you can chop down trees with it. You can split firewood with it. I've used it to climb with. There's just a lot of things you can do with East Wing hammers. Um, we keep a tarp, and most of the time we have some type of blanket. I think the blanket I gave it to a little kid. We was at a Christmas parade, and I had it with me, and it was cold, and he didn't have a coat. He was just sitting out there. He was sitting there shaking. So I gave him my blanket. I need to get another blanket and throw it in the car. A tarp. Um, I wrote down all kinds of stuff we got in there. Having some type of food stuff. Spam is really good. It'll last forever. Vienna sausages, chili. Chili can be heated up, and a lot of the stuff you can heat up right in the can on a can of soup. You can heat it right up in there. A P38. If everybody don't know, grab me a P38 real quick. Should be one right there in the drawer. I've got one on my keys, and then we carry a multi-tool which has a can opener on it. Big Sky says tarps, blankets, extra belts for the engine, oil, of course, bottled water, and a small stuff. I don't know if y'all can see that. Does everybody know what a P38 is? We carry them on our keys. It's an army term. It's for opening cans, for a can opener. We carry these. This is actually a big one. This is for like a gallon can. You can buy these online, or you can buy them at Army surplus stores. I think we give less than $2 for them. But we carry these. I've got some on my keys. Like I said, they'll fold up. You can throw them in your wallet. They don't take up very much space, and they're just really good to have around to open canned food. Um, and most stuff can be cooked right in the can. You start a little fire, get some coals, you put a can of soup right in the coals, it's gonna heat up right there in the can. Jewel says she has one. We grew up with them, but we had people in the National Guard that kind of introduced us to that stuff. Yeah, yeah, those are always good to have. I won't deter anybody, but if you're gonna have one, make sure you train with it. Don't just carry it. Make sure you train with it. Um, guys are getting ahead of me. Slow down. So some type of strap or rope or chain. The big one is a P51. Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Smarty Pants. Is it a P51? So here's a little bit of information that you guys might like. If you ever get snake bit, um, Benadryl will help fight the effects of the venom. Um, take take as much Benadryl as you can um, before you get knocked out by it. Me, I can't take Benadryl. I'll be asleep. Um, but it will fight the effects of the venom in your body, and it will let you stay alive and keep your whatever body part got bit. I'm ex-army, so I have my training and do go to the range and use the hide thing. Just owning a gun's not enough, you know. Um, it'll help bee stings also. Yeah, we keep Benadryl on one thing for Polly's allergies and her, you know, her allergic reactions that she has. So we keep Benadryl, and it works really good. Yeah, it works. As far as I know, I talked one time to a doctor about it, and he said snake bites. He said if you can take that Benadryl and aspirin, aspirin slows down. It thins down the blood. It slows down the blood. Um, I guess it kind of dilutes the blood. So keep that, and it keeps your heart rate lower, so it doesn't circulate through your body. But that Benadryl does the same thing, and your adrenaline is what keeps your heart pumping, so it counteracts the adrenaline. Keeping a snake bite kit is really good to have around. A tourniquet, um, you know, those types of things. You can buy the snake bite kits, but you can take and make them yourself. So Benadryl is one to have around anyway. Um, People go into allergic reactions often with Benadryl. Really good to have around. Some of the liquid Benadryl works really good. For if somebody can't swallow a pill, just drink it. So Tylenol and aspirin. We keep headlamps. I get those headlamps at Harbor Freight, and most time I get them free. So we keep them around. I've got some still in the package where we got them free. Um, they work really good for keeping your hands free. I know a lot of people say keep a flashlight, but if you're in a situation where you got to have your hands, headlamps are the way to go. Particularly if you're wearing a beanie. Um, with a hat, it doesn't work as good, but extra prescription drugs. I'm not on any prescription drugs, thank God, not yet. Uh, but I don't want to be either. Yeah, love those. And during the winter, we wear those headlamps more than we do, and that's another thing that's going to keep you from making an injury is having your hands free. If you fall, you catch yourself. If you got a light in your hand, you know you're not as stable as you are if you've got that headlamp. I know me at night messing around out in the dark and out in the hills and stuff. Headlamps saved me a few times because I was able to catch myself. I don't know if anybody else got anything else. Good first aid kit. Keep a good first aid kit. You don't have to go spend a bunch of money on it. You can make one yourself. Make sure you got some kind of clotting agent in there in case you do get a huge cut. Sutures. I know some people cringe at the thought of getting sewed up, but if you're out and about, you need to learn how to suture up, not just for yourself, but for your family, your dogs, your pets, your animals. Learn how to suture. Learn how to make that knot. There's plenty of YouTube videos on how to learn how to do that knot. So, carrying snakes, Native Americans, yeah, some Asian and yeah, some of them you get bit by them, you're gonna die anyway. Better get right with God. You're gonna die anyway. So those are just some of the things, keeping a good chain or rope or strap in there, really good. I, I I like to keep enough stuff in my car that I can take and weather about any storm and any emergency situation and help out in a situation. It's not just about us. I mean, if I run up on a wreck or something and somebody's bleeding, there's a lot of places out here where we drive. Nobody's coming along. Nobody else is going to come. Maybe one or two people. And if somebody does call 911, good luck them getting there in any amount of reasonable time. I have called uh, the ambulance before. We lived on a ranch, and we weren't that far from town. It took them a good 30, 45 minutes to get to our house. And in that amount of time, the person can bleed out. So having that stuff, if you pull up on a wreck, you pull up on an accident, having that stuff in your car is really going to take and make the difference in that person's life. So just carrying around, it's just good practice. If you don't ever need it, maybe somebody else does, and it might keep somebody alive. You pull up on somebody who's been in a car wreck and they're going into shock, and you got a can of soup and you can build a fire and you can get them warm. You got a Mylar. That's one of the things I got in my getaway bag is one of them Mylar um, blankets. You just saved that person's life because they were going into hypothermia. Karen says, especially on bad roads. Yeah, there's a lot of roads out here. That you get off of them, that's where you're at. You're not getting out anytime soon. But somebody comes along and pull you out. So, anybody else got anything else they want to add to that? I've got 2 more pages of notes. Before I go into security, that was just covering safety. All the gear I carry has helped other people more than me. Yeah, I'll agree with that. You know, I've seen people hitchhiking, gave them water out of my car. It really does take and help other folks. Keeping glucose pills for people who have sugar. Those are awesome or low blood sugar. I have to keep something to eat all the time. My blood sugar will just bottom out. So I keep that around. Crackers, chili. I keep all this stuff in my car. I'm talking about security. I just cut a couple of mine in half or for a couple of dough, not everyone. Yeah. You know, medications is, oh, Josh is back. Um, Prescription meds is not anything to fool around with. And it is harder today than, than it has been in the past. But, to get your meds and to get them to turn loose your meds, but taking and having those is key to some people. It's what keeps them alive. It's what keeps them healthy. For sure, having those, living way off grid, living way out there, to have that. So talking about security, let's talk about the homestead. The first thing that any type of predator, 4-legged, 2-legged, any type of predator is going to encounter is going to be your perimeter. And I'm a big advocate of electric fences. When you talk about bobcats and coyotes, bears, mountain lions, wild dogs, other people's dogs, they don't even have to be wild, they just have to be somebody's dog got loose. The first thing they're going to take and encounter is your perimeter fencing. And a good fence is going to take and keep most of the predators away. Out here we got hawks, we got buzzards. When we used to manage a ranch, one of the things that took and killed more calves than, or as many calves as cows, was buzzards. Buzzards took and they would peck the babies while they were laying there. They would just land on them, they couldn't get up, and they would just peck them, and they would peck their eyeballs out first. So those are things that fences are not gonna take and protect from. But any type of walking animal, 4-legged animal, if you've got a good fence, whether it be a field fence, which I'm not a fan of, or an electric fences are the best perimeter security for your homestead, hands down. And a lot of people out there are going to say, you can't put up an electric fence in the desert. I asked them, do they have electricity in the desert? Yes, you can put up an electric fence in the desert. You have to configure it different than you do in wetter climates. But yes, you can have an electric fence in the desert, and it does work very well. That is the best. The best perimeter security you can have on a homestead is a good fence. That is your first line of defense. Is your fence. Defense fence. It's a defense fence. Having a good gate system. I use a solar hot wire fence. Maybe can tell you it stops the raccoons, but not my chickens. They're either stupid or their feathers insulated. But yeah, you got to have more strands. We've kept chickens in with 9 strands, but they were 3 inches apart. So you can do it. It's more about the barrier at that point with the chickens than it is about the mental block or the mental factor. They get outside your fence, ain't much you can do about that if they get eaten. But if they're in your fence, I mean, if I put up 9 strands, I can pretty much keep anything in high tensile, and I'm using high tensile wire. Not everybody watch my channel. If you guys haven't seen our videos on timeless fence. That's the kind of product that we're going to put up around our perimeter. We may have other fences like corrals and that sort of thing, but high tensile with timeless fence. That's what we're putting. It's going to take us some time because it is an expensive product. But once you're done, you're done. And you put up 9 strands of that, everything's going to stay in and out. Deer might jump in, elk might jump in, but it's not going to get tore down because they do, because the fence folks are flexible. So fences, and then everybody has areas on their homestead where people can hide or things can hide and come in. And out here we're blessed with cactus. You can transplant cactus and they're pretty much, they're hardy. They'll take off and thrive. And you can plant cactus, ocotillo, Russian olive, Chinese elm, all the thorny mesquite trees. You can plant those in strategic areas to keep things from gaining access in between sheds where you don't want, things to just come right in. You can take and plant those things, particularly two-legged predators. And they're out there, folks. I mean, we're just going to be real. There's two-legged predators out there who come in. So having a good system, deer can jump a 6-foot fence. Deer can jump a 10-foot fence. I've seen them jump big old fences, flat-footed. They won't what's in there. They're gonna go in there. Netting's about the only thing that'll keep them out of a garden. We built a man a fence. How many? It was 2 48-inch woven wire field fence, and we had to go get the posts special. They were T-posts. We had to go get them special, and deer still got in his garden. Put electric fence around the top of it. Still got in. Had owls get our mini chickens. Yeah, owls are big. They're big time predators. Netting or chicken wire over top of your coop. Having chickens in a run, that's about the only way to keep them safe. If them deer want in there, they'll get in there. You ain't gonna stop there. But a hot wire is gonna keep a lot of those, those 4-legged predators out. We kept out bobcats with them. We put up 9 strands for a man. He had it all the way around his back lot. Turned his chickens out in there because he was losing. He lost almost all of his chickens to bobcats because he was right on the edge of a national forest. And they just come in there and eat his chickens. And those 9 strands kept out the bobcats, kept out the coyotes. It will do. You put a hot wire and a ground wire 3 inches apart, and them that they touch those two terminals, those 2 wires, they're gonna get bit. And you got a really good charger that's putting out a whole lot of joules. You're gonna take it. You're gonna burn that joker up in your scumbag. We've been building a chicken run out of pallets today. Video will be up tomorrow. Good deal. I ain't had a chance to watch nobody's video today. I think I watched Josh's when I was eating lunch. I just hadn't had no time. I've been building fence, and I'm slow with that. I'm fat, and I'm slow. Oh my! That's first line of defense. Strategic place. What was it, John? You said strategic place, flora and fauna. That's a security word there. Karen says only way to stop a deer is you gotta put them in. Yep, that'll stop them every time. Fences are awesome. Thank you, appreciate that. Gail says a good big dog can help keep critters even 2-legged. Well, yeah, that was one of the things I was going to talk about tonight. Is a good guard dog. And Gail says good night, bedtime. All right, sis. Glad you stopped by. Appreciate you. It's got nice to just shake your head at mine. All right, as long as it works, that's all that matters. Guard dogs are not, people, they think guard dogs and they automatically, they think their dog is a guard dog, but a guard dog is not friendly to everybody. You know, people have pets. Um, we've got a blue heeler right now. He ain't a guard dog. He couldn't guard a biscuit. Okay. Um, he would let somebody else have it. A guard dog is a dog that is not friendly to everybody, that you have to take in control and you have to maintain. He knows you and your family, and he's protective of the area. Great Pyrenees are great about that. My guard dogs, my Great Pyrenees, uh, I've had Rottweilers. I do not socialize them. People go, well, that's dangerous. Yeah, that's the point. When company's over, guess what? They go in a kennel. Um, and I tell people, don't try to pet him. He will bite you. I've told people that, and they still go over and try to. Hello, he's a guard dog. My stock dogs were the same way. I didn't want them listening to nobody else. I didn't want them distracted. I kept them away from people and did not socialize them except for the family. The family could tell them what to do. The family could control them. I've even had some dogs that I was the only one they listened to. But you put them in a kennel, you put them in a stall in the barn, whatever. When company's around and when you're on in security mode, you let them out. We have dogs that only guard the food dish. Josh says my little pit bull loves telling people off. And that's what they're for. You know, there's different dogs that have different uses. There's guard dogs, there's herd dogs, there's lap dogs. There's nothing wrong with a lap dog, but people have got to know the difference. Well, we got dogs. You need a good guard dog. Great Pyrenees are awesome. Just don't socialize them. Great Pyrenees will walk the borders of your property. He will take and he will get territorial about the property. Um, and they're really good guard dogs. We had a dog named Brutus. He was a Rottweiler cross. I had him for years. I got him when I was a teenager, lived on the farm. And we lived when we first moved to the farm when I was a kid, my dad bought it. It was pretty rough country. And one night, my brother lived across the street on a farm that we rented. And then we lived on that farm, me and Polly. We had a trailer pulled up on the property. My dad lived in the house. And my brother calls and says, hey, there's some guys out here. So uh, we were out there with guns. These people, we're out in the middle of the country. I mean, we're in the sticks. And we've got stuff out there. We got equipment out there. We don't want people just stealing stuff. And most likely they were there to steal gas. But this truck had come by and dropped off two guys. One at one end of the property and one at the other end of the property. Well, the guy that was on the other end of the property where I was at, I could see in the woods. I told him, I said, you better not move. So when I first went out, I cut that Rottweiler loose, old Brutus. I cut him loose, and he was over there hunting that dude, and he got him cornered. And I said, as long as you stand still, you're going to be all right. I said, you take off running, that dog's going to eat you alive. And sure enough, the cop rolled up. Finally, we was out there for like 30 minutes. I had this guy at gunpoint. And the guy takes off running, and sure enough, Brutus eat him alive. We lived on a hillside farm, and there was actually a road on the back side of the property. On the other side, it was like two properties over. That dude run all the way, and Brutus eat him up all the way. So having a good guard dog, and you don't know what people's intentions are today. That's the thing. You have to assume the worst. If somebody is outside your house at night, you have to assume the worst. They're not there to sell you Girl Scout cookies, okay? Particularly if you live out in the boonies, out in the country, out off grid. They're not there. So you have to have some type of protection. And that guard dog is just one more layer of protection to keep you alive. Karen says, we have a potbelly pig and she's a real good guard dog. She hears things faster than the dogs do. I've had some potbelly pigs. They're fun to have around. So, just a story there for you. Old Brute, he was a good old dog. He was a good guard dog. He would bite anybody. He was a little hard to handle. He didn't come back till the next morning. I mean, he chased that guy all the way across the field. So good guard dog. And we got all kinds of predators out there. I mean, you got, uh, you know, I've got a video that we're fixing to put out sometime. I don't know when. We've got two or three of them backed up and it's been working, and I don't know how to edit. I've got to learn. But we put up a security light out here because we've been having a lot of skunks, and it's a solar security light. I wanted to try it out to see how it would be down on the homestead. And so far, it works really good, but my solar panel is not facing true south. So I've got to take and lengthen my power cord and put it on the end of the trailer, that way, and get it to where it'll charge up. It takes pretty much, you turn it off in the morning, you turn it back on at night, and it takes about 8 hours of charging to really have it work correctly. And here lately, we hadn't been getting 8 hours of sun, period, anyway. But, you know, we've been having a lot of skunks out here, and because people throw out their scraps, throw out their chicken bones, stuff like that, and dump stuff, and these skunks come around. Well, I don't want to step out my door and step in the middle of the skunk. So we've got this solar light. Got it at Harbor Freight, $14.99 on sale. And so far, it's worked really good. It's done what it's supposed to do. It stays on a little bit when you first turn it on, and then if you move in front of it, it's got a motion sensor. Boom, it comes right on. I think regular prices are like $19.99. But having those types of security lights, solar lights, just at strategic places in dark areas around your homestead is a really good idea. Having them motion sensor lights like this that are solar are really good. So you can see what's going on out there. And Karen says we learn when she hears something to go look at that something look outside every time. And our dog, even our dog, he's not a guard dog, but when he barks different, we know. We were here, and I think it was kids. It was during the Christmas break, wasn't it? Might have been before that, maybe the Thanksgiving break. But we heard the dog barking, and I said, "That ain't his regular bark." And we went outside, and there were some people over where we have our horses. It's across this Aurora, this dry water. And there were some people over there with lights. So the kids, we got the kids out there. The kids took off, went over there. We drove back, and it was when my knee was hurting. My knee was hurting. I couldn't go chasing people in the dark. So the kids took off over there. They took our GUN shotgun, and our home protection device. You have to be real careful on YouTube. They'll censor you or shut you totally down over something these days. So they went over there and checked on it, and after that we got some padlocks for the corral gates. You never know what people's intentions are. If they're out there in the dark, they ain't got no business being there. You got to assume the worst. So, but his bark is just different. When there's something out there that's not normally there, his bark is different. Something he don't like. We have little ones all over the place. They're great to have. They come in 4 packs on Amazon for $20, $40. Watch for lightning deals. They've been great. Is that the motion sensor one, like we have out here, or is that just solar lights? Those solar lights are great. Yes, the motion sensor. Those are great because if something moves in front of it, it comes on, you automatically know something is there. And like I said, it's not just, for the 2-legged, they're both, okay? You don't want to step outside, particularly. I know Big Sky at night, they use a porta potty, and you don't want to step out there in the middle of the night and step on a skunk or a snake or a scorpion or something. So if you have that light there, as soon as you go out, it comes on, which really takes and lights up the area. I think this one will shine 35 feet, it seems. So, and it's 120 lumens or something like that. And when you're out and about, I mean, there's snakes and bobcats and coyotes. We had a dog walk up out here the other night. Boom, that light came on. George got up to see what it was, and he seen right away that it was a dog. So, and those are really good. Um, Having a plan, and I'm big. I, as far as YouTube goes, I said something last week that might have confused some people. I said I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. As far as YouTube goes, that's what I'm doing. I'm just being me and doing what I'm doing. But when it comes to life, I've always got a plan. I may have to revise it, but I've got a plan. And having a plan about predators, at some point, somebody or something is going to come for what you worked hard for. Somebody or something is going to come and take a chicken, take a duck, take a goat. They're going to want to come take your valuables. Sometime, somewhere, it's going to happen. Whether it's on your homestead, whether it's on your job, at your car, while you're shopping in town, somebody's coming. And if you plan for that, like I said, having a mindset of preparedness, if you plan for that, if you take and you have a plan, I'm going to do this, this, and this, whatever that plan is. Hey, run, fight, run, hide, fight. That's what they say. Run, hide, fight in a like an active shooter situation. Hey, that's cool, but have a plan. If you have a firearm, if you have a self protection device, learn how to use it and have a plan of action. Practice those things. We found that air horns have been good to keep cattle. Single cow is cheaper than ammo. Yeah, that's a great tip there. Um, you know, sound will take and really take and make a big difference. Uh, yes, and it will most likely be your neighbor, unfortunately. Well, I know my neighbors down there. I've only got one neighbor down there. The rest of people live way off somewhere. So if anybody's coming through, most likely it's usually somebody that's coming through looking to spot or steal. He's had several people down there just walk up, and his dogs, his guard dogs, is what stopped. He heard the guard dogs. They were barking, and they cornered the guy. So again, the guard dog. That air horn, I like that idea right there. Those air horns. Um, it, that's a really good tip there. Um, and knowing your neighbors, knowing who they are, good, bad, or indifferent, knowing who they are, so that you can plan for that too. I mean, I got a really good neighbor, and setting up a security plan with him. If he blows his horn 3 times in a row, I know something's going on. Um, if if I'm in trouble and I blow my horn 3 times, he knows, hey, they're in trouble over there because we don't take and we don't blow our horns. That's something we learned years ago. We lived, like I said, we lived on a hillside farm, and us kids, we just go to the woods, and if we heard the horn blowing, we knew that the parents wanted us at home. Something was going on, so we would come out of the woods and come back to the house. It worked really well. So having a security plan with your neighbors, if you can, is just a really good plan. Um, there again, you know, plan some more. With safety and security, if you're on your homestead, you need to have a evacuation plan, particularly if you have kids. Smaller kids, even grown kids. You need to have a security plan with them. Say, hey, if something's going on, this is what you need to do. If it's really small kids, hey, it may be go lock yourself in a closet. If it's you know something that's going on outside and they're home alone, you may need to take and have a deal for them to where they can get a hold of you, whether it's a cell phone, radio, an air horn, if you're on the homestead, just to alert to know what's going on. So practicing those scenarios. What happens when somebody comes in? What happens when somebody, if a predator's in the goat or something like that? I mean, I was raised around firearms. We had them. We had them everywhere. Um, we were taught from an early age what they would do. We knew what they would do, and there was no curiosity about it. When we got old enough to hunt on our own, we hunted on our own. but we were taught about the safety and the gun handling. We were taught that. We were taught what it was about. And there was a lot of times growing up when people would come over and we'd want to go hunting, and Dad would be like, no, I don't trust those. I don't trust those people. They're not brought up around it like you were. So using good judgment and education. If you're worried about your kids, getting around them or something, educate them. Take the curiosity away. Show them what they are. Show them, let them fire them. Let them take and know how to operate one. The best starter gun. I started my kids off. They were around them, but I started them off on one they could handle with a BB gun. And I told them, I said, this is where you shoot at. You don't shoot nothing else. You don't go shooting around, shooting windows. I think my son shot out one window with a BB gun. We started them out there, and then we moved them up to single barrel shotgun. And I have no problem. When we lived on the ranch, my kids were a lot younger then. They used to turn them loose with shotgun. I wasn't about to let them go out there. We had bears, mountain lions, and coyotes, and two-legged predators out there. So I wasn't. Gail says this man got to go. Okay, Gail, appreciate you stopping by. Just taking it and teaching them about it to where you don't have to worry about it. Teaching them proper handling. A good single shot shotgun, a 410, 20 gauge, 12 gauge. Those are all really good home security devices. Okay, you can take and they're simple. They're easy to understand. There's only one bullet. One bullet, one pull, one shot. So for around the house, they're excellent. It's an excellent hunting firearm. It's an excellent, you can, a lot of small game can be taken with a single shot shotgun. You can even hunt deer with them. In most states, you can hunt deer with a good full choke, or not full choke, but open choke, with a slug. You can take and you can hunt deer with them. So they're a good all around gun. If you're looking to buy some, you can pick them up at pawn shops, $75 to $80. And it's a really inexpensive way to get your feet wet and get in there. Find somebody who's knowledgeable. Say, hey, I want to learn how to do this correctly. I want to learn how to store it correctly. I want to learn how to use it correctly, and clean it and care for it. Really good to have around. And then practice. Practice those scenarios. What do I do if a coyote's into the goats or into the chickens? What do I do if this happens or that happens? Having your homestead laid out in zones is really good. And I'm not talking about growing zones but zones of, okay, this is first line of defense, this is second line of defense. The house is the last line of defense where you're at. This is my last retreat. And having those criteria and say, if it's this, we're okay, we're out here. If it's this, we need to retreat to here. If it's the last ditch effort, we need to come to here. And be prepared to go that distance. I think the number one problem, whether you're talking about live shooter incidents, you're talking about people breaking in, you're talking about predators coming to your house, is people are not mentally prepared for it when it happens. They're not mentally prepared for it to take that next step and do that. At that point, it's do or die. At that point, you have got to switch off all of your tendencies where I don't know if I don't. You have got to plan and train yourself to where when it happens, boom, you make that split-second decision and you do what needs to happen. Those situations need to happen. I'm probably everybody on here watching Homestead Rescue. But the Rainies do. And a lot of people say, oh, it's just television. But those are good things to do. What happens? What about fire evacuation? What happens if everything around you catches on fire? Do you have a plan? Do you know what to take? What can you live without? What you can't live without? Can you leave there? Can you get everything out that you need to get out? Can you get your family out of there? What happens? So holding those type of drills, going over it with your kids, going over it with the adults, and having those types of plans are key to staying safe. In a fire, In a storm, there's a storm going on, or if you're having a predator type situation, whether it be 2-footed or 4-footed, what do I do? So at least you know. My kids, when they were little, if something came up, I said, I need you here. That way I don't have to worry about them. I don't have to worry about them getting between me and something, or them getting between me and somebody, and them becoming a part of the problem instead of the solution. I need you over here. If anything happens, you go here. When we were on the ranch, if I woke them up in the middle of the night and said, it's go time, they knew that something was in the cattle. They knew that there were coyotes present, and they could be dressed, have their firearm, and we would be out the door and on the four-wheeler with the spotlights in no time flat. Which brings up another good tool at night is a good 12-volt spotlight. They make rechargeable ones. We have spotlights that you plug in to the 12-volt on a car or truck, anything. And now UTVs have the 12-volt cigarette lighters. You plug them up. We've got one. It's huge. It looks like daylight when you turn it on. I forget how many candle power it is. It's still candle power, but it's like something like 1,000,000 candle power. You turn that thing on, you've got daylight. It is awesome, and you can hook them up if you're on a 12-volt system, like a solar system in your house. You can hook up those. You can hook up those 12 volts out on your porch. You can hook them up on the corner of your deck, and boom, you're right there. And some of them now I've seen some for boats. They're a boat adapter that hooks up 12 volt, which actually has a pole, and you can mount it. So you can mount it right on the corner of your deck. Boom, a strategic place where you can light up your whole yard, light up a whole pasture, whatever. It'd be great. Let's see. Karen says the two-legged have no business showing up. Yeah, that's right. You got less than 3 seconds to react. The average reaction time is for most people. They have to take and process thought. They have to process what's going on, the reality of it. In whatever situation you're in, if it's an emergency situation, you've got to take and train for those things. I've had the opportunity, as like Nicole and some of them doing. I've had the opportunity. I worked in law enforcement. I worked in security. I've had the opportunity to learn what to do in an emergency situation. I've had training. We've run through scenarios. We've done that. Not everybody's done that, and it prepares your mind. So get with somebody who does know how. Get with somebody who has been in those situations. Let them do a security assessment. None of those things are bad. They're all good things. Knowing your layout of your place. If you're building a homestead from scratch, lay out your buildings in such a way that you have a good view. Don't just build hodgepodge and in all different kind of places. So at night there's a lot of blind spots. Coyotes could be right around the corner and you not know it. They could have already grabbed a chicken and be around behind your barn and not know it. Make sure that you lay it out where you have a good view and you know what you're seeing. And strategically place those cameras. I was looking at cameras today. You can buy, they're cheap. And they may not be top line, but we're talking about starting out here. $200, you get a 4-camera system with a receiver. You can hook it up to your smartphone. Cameras are awesome, and they're getting cheaper and cheaper. So that's another good thing. If you're way out there, away from everybody, having some strategically placed cameras at your gate, the backs of your barns, the backs of your buildings, places where, forested areas where predators are going to come from, you can take and hook those up. And there's a lot of good ones out there. There's some that are cheaper. I wouldn't recommend them, but $200 for a 4-camera system, hey. And it's got the receiver, which hooks up to your smartphone. Boom, you hit the app. You can see all 4 cameras, or you can take and go one by one. That's not a bad deal. So those are just some thoughts on security. The last line of defense should be your house. And that's a do or die moment, and you should be prepared for that. Practicing, having good handling. If you're new to firearms, all right, we'll take and we'll see you later, Steph. Appreciate you stopping by. We're about done. I've went over my time. Just gonna wrap up a few things, and then we're probably gonna go. I'm gonna try and hop over. I don't know if Paul and Adrian's still having theirs or not, but I like to hop on it. Nicole says, always be prepared. Stay switched on and always aware. We have night owl cameras at my property. If it's the human, we have a signage as well. We let them know warning shots will be fired. Yeah. And, I always tell, we had a story just this week of a lady who was going around the mall and there was this guy following her. We've had, this happened yesterday. He was following around the mall, and we've had human trafficking, people coming through and kidnapping people. And I always tell my wife, my daughter, my son, I say, hey, keep your head on a swivel. Know who's around you. I'm always scanning the crowd. When I go somewhere, I'm always scanning the crowd. I want to know who's around me. I identify. I can't help it. I don't sit with my back to the door. I don't do it. And it comes from from my years of training. But when you walk in to a place, I assess the threat. That's just who I am. I want to know who's the most dangerous person in the place. I want to know who's packing a gun, who ain't. I want to know where the threat is likely to come from if I sit down. Josh says Paul and Adrian have finished. Okay, I'll keep going. If y'all find this interesting, just give me a quick thumbs up and I'll keep going. If not, I'll go bed. Don't sit with mine the door either. Yeah, it's just part of who I am, and I'm always scanning the crowd. If I'm in Walmart, I'm watching who's around me. Stay alert, stay alive. Yep. Having your head on a swivel, just watching who's around you. Watch where the threat's most likely to come from. If I'm in the back of the store and I'm coming to the front of the store, I'm watching that door. I'm watching to see, who's coming through that door. And that's the way I am at a gas station. I watch around me. I don't, I tell my wife, don't stop late, don't stop early to get fuel. Wait until there's quite a few people around. And I hardly ever let her go anywhere alone, particularly late at night. Remember, my son, he's 18 years old. I say, hey, go with your mama. Because in today's age, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. And that extra threat, he's 18-year-old and be almost big as I am. People are not as likely to take and approach her if he's there, just because he's there. He's the guard dog. And he's pretty handy. But know where the exit start is. Yeah. And that's just part of it. If you've ever done, and I don't know if Nicole, if you've done, you can throw in your 2 cents worth here. But we did threat assessments. In security, when you take more advanced security, you do threat assessments. You go in, you know where the exits are at, you know where the problems are at, you know where the fire extinguishers are at. You know all those things when you walk in. You can sit down and you just know where it's at because that's part of a threat assessment. It's a safety and security assessment. You've got to know all those things. And knowing where a medical kit would most likely be, knowing where fire extinguishers most likely be. If I pull up to a restaurant, I'm looking around at the trucks. I'm going, where's the gun most likely to be? What, I'm always watching. People can say it's stereotyping if they want to, but at least I'm prepared. That's what it's about. I'm prepared, and I at least know it doesn't take me by surprise if I see a situation going on. And I've been right in the middle of them. Yeah. There's always those little bells going off in your head. Hey, we need to get out of here. And if you're listening, you know, Josh says he does the same thing. If you're listening, and I tell people this all the time. If you're a Christian and the Holy Spirit needs you to know something, you can know it. And I don't know how many situations we've been in where a domestic violence case broke out right there while we were there. And I knew it was coming. I told them, well, hey, this is fixing to escalate, so you know. And that's what it's all about is being in the know, be ahead of time. It's just like I was telling you that story when I first started out about the supervisor got his bag stolen because the other supervisor just didn't have a security mindset. If you've got it, you're going to be more aware. I don't live in fear. I live prepared. That's my motto. I don't live in fear. And when you know, you're not as scared. And when you have a plan, you're really not scared because you go, I know what I'm going to do. And if you practice for those things mentally prepare yourself. What happens right now? I used to ask the kids all the time. We go, what would you do right now if this happened? What would you do right now if this happened? I used to ask my kids that. We'd be way out somewhere and say, okay, if I got sick right now and couldn't move, what would you do? I started asking them when they were real little. And now they were, I know what I do. I do this right here. Okay. What would happen if somebody's breaking in the house? What would you do? If somebody did this, what would you do? Those are all scenarios, and you need to ask your kids that. You need to prepare them. You need to take talk back because most people live, like I said, in a naive place in their mind, and they think it ain't gonna happen. There's been a lot of people, and particularly here lately, who have found themselves in situations like that where they go, "It ain't never gonna happen," but it does happen. Yeah, even when he's telling you maybe you shouldn't go that way, and that's what happens when you go up big trees. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there. God has kept me from so much, and I've been in places. I tell you a story. This was years ago before me and Polly ever had kids, and we were traveling. We were going from here back to Tennessee. I got a story for everything, but they're all true. Um, and we pulled in at this McDonald's, and she was going, "Do you want to eat here? Do not eat here?" And I was sitting there in the car, and it just came on. I said, "We don't need to stay here. We need to go." And we went to the bathroom. We got in the car and we drove on down to the next town. I think we drove to Santa Rosa, and it was on the 10 o'clock news. The very McDonald's. It was in Bernalillo, New Mexico, just outside Albuquerque. And we drove on down to Santa Rosa, got a hotel room, went in, flipped on the news, and the McDonald's that we stopped at the time, just right after we were there, I told her, I said, "We don't need to stay here. We need to go." They had a gang shooting right there at McDonald's. They shot up the place, killed people, and it was just the grace of God. It was just the Holy Spirit saying, "Go. Do not stay here." And people, over the years, people have got mad at me. We've traveled with people, different, different folks, friends, stuff like that, and we'd be in a place and say, "We need to go. We need to go now." Mission trip. We was on a mission trip one time. I said, "Hey, we gotta go. We gotta go now." And I don't know. I don't know why. Sometimes I don't know why. Sometimes we do know why. But you learn to listen, and then you stay out of trouble. And it's having that ear to hear what the Spirit's saying. That's what it's all about. So, um, you know, plan, get mentally prepared for it. Know that in your lifetime, I've been in a lot of emergency situations. Like I said, I was in law enforcement. I was a corrections officer. I did patrol with different organizations. I was a security officer. I've been in a lot of different situations, but it will happen at some point in your life. You're going to run up on something, and it could be a catastrophe or it could not be a catastrophe. It just all depends upon how you handle it, how you're prepared for it. Know that it can happen. In America, we're sheltered. We're so sheltered. When you talk to people from other countries, particularly third world countries, where they see devastation, and a lot of people may not even know what's going on in South Africa, but there's families down there in South Africa that are getting killed and butchered and raped and maimed, and because they're white. Um, it's going on, and they're living with it. They're living with the fear of it. And we walk around in America like hoody doody doo. Nothing's ever going to happen to me. I'm protected. And you don't know how close you are sometimes. It's just the grace of God that keeps you from it. And there's places in other countries that are just, my husband, 22 years. Thumbs up to him. Hats off to him because that is rough. My brother right now, I have a brother that's in corrections right now, and he's been 15 years now. He's in corrections, I believe. He maybe more than that. Jonathan, how long's Tim been in corrections? He's worked in corrections a long time. Been security before that. He's got a long time. I'm looking forward to seeing my new knife. Nicole says I'm getting my mail forward Monday. I wasn't too worried about it. You're welcome. I'm glad you won it, and we're gonna be doing some more giveaways. I've already got some prizes lined up. I got some things lined up, so we're gonna be doing some more giveaways. Yeah, corrections is hard. Nobody wants to be in corrections. The people that are corrections since '04, I think. Yeah, so roughly 15, 16 years he's been in corrections. So but it will put you in that mindset. My son-in-law started in corrections and now probation parole officer. I'm glad I got out of it when I did. I was starting to get jaded, but you know, it is what it is. It helped me, corrections and deputy sheriff. I did corrections here in New Mexico, and then I also did patrol with a government agency. And then I did armed security and security in Tennessee, and did containment. It was a mental hospital, so we had to contain, do all this stuff. It was more of a hospital type setting, but it was basically the same thing, just like an open ward. Um, that's where it really got hairy. But yeah, I did that in Tennessee, and I did that. I only did it all collectively for about 7 years altogether. Everything I did, and I was getting jaded. I just got tired of dealing with stupidity. To be honest with you, it gets hard. You have to be a special kind of person to do it. You have to have, special kind of person. Experiences, do corrections, even be a cop. Yeah, it is. I just got tired of messing with people. I got tired of messing with the dregs of society, and it will get you jaded after a while. You start looking at humanity different. I had to get away from it. Glad I did. So, safety. I had a few things after I got done with my note. Um, having a backup heat source, whether it be propane, you come in from a place, even if it's one of those bottle top heaters, some type of heating source is really good. Just a few things here. Having, emergency food supplies on hand that you don't take and you don't, have in your regular stock, just in case something happens. And emergency water sources like the straws that Dave, I think Dave left already. And having a backup transportation on the homestead, I think the more you get out away from, you have a wood stove for backup. A lot of people have wood, but I mean, there's times during the winter where wood gets snowed in or whatever. You leave and you come back. You go away at Christmas time, Thanksgiving. You come back and your house is cold. And a lot of people live off grid. They don't have the problems with water that other folks have. You want the place to get warm real quick. One of the things that, excuse me, one of the things that we always did, kind of learned it on the ranches where I worked, was before you leave the house, always take and get your fire building stuff ready in the stove. So all you have to do is come in and light it. Particularly if you live off grid, because you never know when you're going to come in. You're going to be cold. You're going to be sick. You're going to be hurt, and you need to get warm. If your fire's out before you leave, if your fire, if you're going to go away for a while, have your fire built, ready to go, and all you have to do is put a match to it or a lighter to it. Have the kindling in there, your fire starter, whatever it is with your wood. Be ready. And if you have, other sources like your garage, or I know when I was cowboying, you go to a cabin somewhere. It was always a practice, particularly in the mountains, have that fire ready to go. So that if you're cold, you come in there, you can start that fire, and it'll save somebody's life, not your own. It's a really good deal. Having a backup transportation, a dirt bike, 4-wheeler. For us, it's a horse, um, an old farm truck, just anything that'll go across the desert during the winter. Is really good because you never know what can happen to a vehicle. Having at least 2 vehicles if you're off grid is a must. Both of them need to be 4-wheel drive if you live out like where our place is at. But having that backup transportation, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Probably say it again. I don't mind riding a horse to town. I could do that. I could ride to get help on my horse and don't have an issue with that. So um, I think I've covered about everything. Jonathan, did I miss anything? I call him. We talk. We talk at least once a week, sometimes more. But I don't know if I forgot anything or not. One of the notes I had. Love you guys. Had a good night. Time to go. Shut the gate. See you next time. All right, Nicole. Be careful. Appreciate you stopping by. Um, one thing I didn't mention that I had was watching animals. We talked about guard dogs. People talk about their guard pigs. Um, but just watch how animals act. Um, knowing how they act, knowing when something's off, whether it be a predator around or whether it be they're sick, whether something's causing them to be sick, anything like that. Our horses, they know when something's around. Today I was out there working, building the fence, and all of a sudden the horses all threw their head up, and I was like, "What in the world's going on?" Well, I seen this big old hawk, and he was sitting on one of the fences up above, and he was just sitting there. And then, oddly enough, the dog seen him because the horses looked. So just watching your animals uh, will really educate you on what's around, what's going on. Just one more thing there. So we've covered safety and security. I think pretty good. Being prepared, having a plan, having a security plan. Um, they're all good things, folks. And get educated. Get educated on stuff. If you're not comfortable with some of these things, home protection devices and all this kind of stuff, firearms, get educated. Because from what I can see, the world is people are evil, and the world's evil. Um, got to be vigilant, and you got to be prepared. So, I appreciate everybody. This is one thing I sometimes I fail to say enough. I appreciate everybody that subscribes to our channel. I appreciate. Oh my goodness, I always use the Nomi and how all the animals ran for higher ground, but the people ran to see why the ocean. Yeah, the animals knew what was going on. I appreciate everybody that subscribes, watches our content. I try to take and get around to everybody. Josh, um, he's putting out some good content, growing some good stuff. Um, and there's a lot of good channels out there. I really appreciate everybody stopping by tonight, joining in. We will be doing some more giveaways. Like I said before, I want to give back to y'all because y'all have supported us, and thank you guys for stopping in tonight. And, you know, go over and check out Josh's channel. He just put out a video, I think it was today or yesterday. Put it out, I seen it today. Go check out some of these other folks. And we appreciate y'all stopping by. Good night. God bless. We'll see you down the road.